Welcome to Bootstrapped Unicorns. I'm your host, Josh Pies, the chief attention getter and hippie capitalist at C47 Digital Studios. This show is an exploration of entrepreneurship because it's important to hear people's inspirational stories of where they were and where they're going and how they've gotten to where they are. But even more important is to glean all those tactical, actionable data points that we can use on our own journeys as we grow our businesses and we can say, yes, we bootstrapped to become a unicorn.
Welcome back to Bootstrapped Unicorns. I am Josh Pies, the host of the show, and I am always honored that you're here. And before I introduce today's guest, I just wanted to say thank you for the comments we're getting online. Thank you for your participation. And I'll remind you right now that if you're not in the Bootstrapped Unicorns Facebook group, that you're missing out. Now, this is a group where, one, you might go, oh, he's going to sell us something. Of course, there's a risk that somebody who invites you to a group online is selling you something, but we're not. This group exists for entrepreneurs and would-be entrepreneurs to spend time. Really, it's iron sharpens iron. We get in there and I'll ask a question, we'll start a conversation, we'll get things going where we can all learn and grow together. If you have a burning question about entrepreneurship, something that you've got to solve, this is like your unpaid mastermind. You're not paying to be in there, you're just hanging out, where a whole bunch of OGs in business are willing to talk about the things you need to know. So, I'm kind of mixed on whether you should go and get your MBA or not. I have one and I wonder whether I should have, but I do know getting around people who know what they know and are verifiably experts at what they talk about is me getting sound advice when I do it, and it's you getting sound advice. So I want to just encourage you to do that. And then I would be remiss if I didn't thank HireVP for being our sponsor. If you go to hirevp.us/unicorns, you're going to get a landing page where you can get 10% off hiring a virtual professional to be a worker in your business. What's a virtual professional? You've heard it called a virtual assistant, but it's way better than that. We have 2 in our company right now, and we're working with HireVP to bring one more on because it's working so well and we're growing that we're doing exactly what I suggest you do. But if you want 10% off your first 3 months, you go to hirevp.us/unicorns. So today, I've got a good friend of mine on the show. We met in, you hear me talk about it all the time, BNI, Business Networking International, AJ Munson. Actually, I'm going to have to ask you what the A and the J is. I've known you for so long, I have no clue what it actually stands for. You don't have to say. But AJ is, he's doing something that I used to do. I used to run a family business, and it was interesting and hair-raising. And I'm very curious. We're going to dig into that a little bit, what it means to have a family business. But they're a HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning company for both residential and commercial services, and they'll do original installs of the little things all the way up to the big things, as well as all of the maintenance required. And so they are what you would call a small business, but to some entrepreneurs it might sound big, because how many employees you got?
Right now, we're at about 19 employees, counting office staff.
Right. Okay. So that's a big business to a lot of people because they're running it onesies, twosies. So by the government standards, he and I and a lot of our guests are small businesses because we don't have 501 employees or more. But anyhow, I'm so glad you're here. Let's start with my burning question. What does A and what does J actually mean?
A is for Alan.
Okay.
And J is for Justin.
Alan,
Justin Munson.
That rhymes. I like it. I may actually use that occasionally when you're in trouble, like your mother.
Yeah.
Alan, Justin. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but so I've gone by AJ.
How long?
Ever since I was really born.
Okay, well, it's you. It totally, yeah. Like I actually, you don't look like an Alan to me. You look like an AJ to me. So maybe I'm just well trained, Pavlov and his dog. But,
yeah.
So before we got on the air here, we were talking about anything but officially business. We were digging into AI and Elon. Let's revisit this for a second, because are you using any AI at your business?
We do not use AI, but we do see it coming.
How?
Systems are getting smarter. Everything is getting more energy efficient, more communicating. And in the long run, if you look at everything that's out there and how you can tie AI, being Alexa or any other kind of platform like that, to your air conditioning, a lot of these systems you could say could use AI a little bit in the way of they are out there and you say, hey, set my temperature to 72 degrees, and it's going to do it for you. Now some of these systems are getting so smart that in the thermostat, their diagnostic system in it is telling you, hey, you got this code, and we can go straight to a piece of paper and say, that code means that your drain line's backed up. So these systems are getting smarter and smarter and smarter to where they're not fixing themselves. And I don't think in my time that I will see them fix themselves. You'll always have to have somebody fix it, but they'll be able to make it quicker on the service call.
Well, I could imagine a day where, there will be a time that there's a subscription service where the automations or the AI in your air conditioning system, in your heating system, would just ping the service company and go, hey, I got about a day and a half before I actually go into an unrepaired state, and I think you're going to need to bring these 3 parts. Could you see that coming?
It's already coming.
Yeah.
Daikin has one of the brands we use has their cloud system, and on their smart stat, their cloud system has a background where we can see what the system is doing. Mm-hmm. If it throws a code, we can see it before we get there.
Wow.
So we know, okay, the blower motor's not working. So it's going to either be the board or a blower or a capacitor. And we know that we need to bring those things with us so we can fix it right away, to where the times of going out there, trying to find what the problem is and hoping you have the part on your truck, you could already have those parts with you to make it a one-stop, in and out, get the system back up and going.
That's really cool. So years ago, I did a project with a company called ThingWorks, and they were IoT, Internet of Things. And so their idea was kind of along the lines of this. And of course, this is 15 years ago that they were working on it. But their vision was to take what you're describing and then have it talk like it's your coworker, not like it's like, instead of talking about codes, it would internally translate what the code is. And it might say through a text message to, let's say you're the service guy, hey, AJ, I'm not feeling well today. I think my blower motor's going. My guess is it's the bearings, but there's a chance that it's also my board or my capacitor. Would you bring parts number blah, blah, and blah on the truck within the next 36 hours so I don't get fully sick? And it literally would give you that description like human to human, so that it would personalize it. It would make it really easy to digest. It wouldn't be geek speak. It would be friend speak. And they were applying that to whatever they could possibly apply it to. They were building the platform that would translate and talk like that. And is that something that your industry would benefit from, or is that cutesy, like in an unnecessary way? Like, how do you see that future for you?
I think on a business end, that I think any business that's a service business could use that.
Yeah.
I mean, we know gas prices are not going down.
Yeah, no kidding.
We know that labor's not going down. Everything's on a rise because of all the rising going on in the world we live in. So when you can go to somebody's house that's 10 minutes away or an hour away and have everything you need, spend less time there and less time on the road, that's going to also get you to your next customer's home quicker too.
Sure. Customer service goes up, profitability goes up.
Yeah, and to where when the average guy might do only 4 to 5 calls a day, he might be able to double that to 8 to 10 calls a day.
Wow. And
because you have everything you need and you know what you're going into. Is it there yet? No. Is it coming? And has it started? I think that it has in our industry and a lot of other industries. I think so too.
You mentioned gas prices. How is that affecting the business? Because how many trucks do you have on the road?
Ooh, we have, I want to say about 12 trucks on the road. And
okay,
we do cover a wide area. We got custom home builders that will travel to places like New Smyrna Beach.
Okay, and for those of you not in the area, that's what, maybe about a 45
minutes to an hour drive from our shop. Then we have also big commercial customers that we travel sometimes 2.5 hours to, being down in the Tampa area or up in the Gainesville area.
Yeah.
So we do have a lot of travel time, but then we have our local customers too. That's why I was saying, like, you can have a guy that has a 10-minute call away, but he has to go back to that call that's 10 minutes away 3 or 4 times because he doesn't have the materials that he needs.
Yeah, you
Or
gotta avoid
he's
that.
leaving that call and he's going to 2 or 3 different supply shops because they don't have the materials they need. Because materials are getting better, but that is another problem in our industry and in the service industry is getting the parts you need. I mean, it's in the automobile industry, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's still trying to get that. So if you kind of know that the system tells you, hey, we got a bad blower motor, it's going to be part A, B, or C, you can order those parts, have those parts in your truck, make that trip one time, and have it done. I mean, I have parts that are still getting back ordered that are taking 2 weeks to get.
Wow. So are people going without their air conditioning for sometimes 2 weeks because of this?
Sometimes 2 weeks. I mean, there's ways around it, and there's taking parts out of equipment that we have.
Sure.
That we can put that, and that's one thing that we do for customer service wise, is if I can figure out a way to get you up and running and not having to wait that wait time, I'm going to do it.
Yep.
And that's going to help us out and help the customer out. And then the part comes in, we put it in that system, and that system's new again.
Yeah, that makes sense. So do you keep extra whole systems on hand?
Yeah, we carry certain systems in shop just to have one, if a customer calls without air. I mean, we have some elderly people that they don't want to wait a week for us to go through the full process. They'll say, hey, what do you have on hand? We can put in what we have on hand on the size system they need that will work for their home and actually be able to get them done sometimes the next day, but within that 48-hour range.
That's great. Well, and, depending on somebody's health profile, the right climate could be a life or death thing for them over the long term. So
yeah,
you're kind of saving lives by being that proactive. So with the gas thing, have you guys entertained the idea of going electric? Do you need a fleet of Cybertrucks now?
Going electric has only been entertained very little. And I say that because the capability when you weigh these vehicles down, shut it down pretty quick.
Yeah.
My guys traveling so much, and they put so much weight with equipment, parts, materials, and their tools on these vans and trucks that they have out there. They would not be able to do the amount of calls sometimes that are needed to be done.
You don't want a whole bunch of sexy looking Cybertrucks out there though?
I mean, it would be cool to have one as a salesman maybe and wrap it up and have it, but...
Well, we were just commenting about how ugly they are because I just can't... I mean, I'll take the hit on this one. I'm reasonably convinced a Pontiac Aztek went and had a baby with a DeLorean, and that's how we got this beast. And it shouldn't have happened. It's like two different animals in different species went and tried to create a freak. I'm just not feeling it.
Yeah. I mean, they're very dull looking.
Yeah.
You could spice them up with different things, with wraps and everything. There's a lot of people out there doing all this stuff. They're a very tough truck. And
are they like, I haven't really seen them in action. I watched one drive by and I went and took pictures because my kid is like Tesla addicted.
Yeah.
She's 11. I'm not sure why she's so into this, but like every time there's a Tesla, Dad, it's another Tesla. Dad, it's another Tesla. Okay, fine. So I took a picture of the Cybertruck and the whole time I'm going, no way. This thing is crap. But it doesn't work.
It's almost bulletproof.
Really?
I mean, I've seen people go with semi-automatic ARs shooting through the whole side of them, and it only penetrated one hole out of like a whole magazine.
Wow.
And that was a continuous shot on that. And that hole didn't even go through all the way to the inside. It didn't penetrate through the inside of the door. It only went into
So that's the
middle of
market
the door.
Is actually Colombian drug cartels need to adopt this.
Yeah, I mean, they can keep their stuff covered with the covered back. I mean, hey, you might be on something.
Run flat tires and, there you go. Now you got your own tank. You just better not try to outrun the police on a quarter charge.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the EV thing I'm trying to wrap my head around, because I know for local commutes, there's a lot of people who are really buying into the EV thing. And we've got a good friend, Doug Spence, who's got his electric vehicle for his, it's Central Florida electricians. Like, so I get it. Like, you want to wire up every charger on the planet. So that makes sense to me. But they travel local. They're you know, his vehicle is not going to go to a Bulldogs game. You know, at least not without having to ask for some extra juice. Speaking of which, you're a Bulldogs guy, right?
Yes.
Why?
Ooh, that's a good question. I get that asked a lot. I'm born and raised right here in Central Florida.
Right. That's what it doesn't make sense.
A bunch of either Gators, or when I was growing up, it was Gators, the Knolls.
Yep.
UCF came along a little bit later. But also when I was growing up, I got a lot of family in Savannah and Statesboro and all through Atlanta. So going up there for holidays, going up and spending time in summertime. We'd always have family reunions. I was around Tech fans and Georgia fans.
Okay.
But living here, I was around a lot of Gator fans. And I know that this is going to take a hit too. But they all will agree in the long run that back in the day, Gator fans would whine about everything. They had a very good team, national championship teams, but they still find reasons to whine.
Okay.
And I've been to plenty of Gators. I've been at games. I've been in the swamp plenty of times. And great atmosphere, but still, they'd always find something to complain about.
So you don't want to be a whiner?
I didn't want to be a whiner. And
at what age did you decide this?
Oh, I started getting big into probably college football. I mean, before that, I was a diehard Magic fan and everything. That was my young thing, the basketball and Magic and everything. But getting into college football between 12 and 14.
So that's really young to look at a human dynamic like that and go, oh, I don't want to associate with your behavior. Like I'm reasonably impressed actually that you would be that contemplative about it. Were the Bulldogs good then?
No, the Bulldogs were good. They were always talked about. Oh, they're going to do it this year, but it was like an ongoing curse. It was oh, they're going to do it this year, and then you'd make it to a bowl game, but you'd make it to the SEC championship game maybe, but that's the end line. And then Kirby Smart came along and he brought all his knowledge, and recruiting came, and that's when the Bulldogs started really coming good in the last few years and everything. Back-to-back national championships, and almost had the chance to do a third. But the industry of NCAA football, or NCAA sports, with everything going on right now, it's changing everything again. With the transfer portal, with the money these kids are making, and they deserve money. Don't get me wrong. I agree.
Yeah.
Their jerseys are getting money. Their name is getting money. They deserve some of that. But I mean, 100%. They don't deserve the money they're getting with the scholarships and everything else they're getting, in my opinion.
Well, it's just NFL light at this point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some kids are making more than NFL players.
Seriously?
Yeah. There's some kids right now making more than NFL players. And they're just in...
I remember when I was, slated to get my scholarship for baseball, which of course never happened because of my injuries. And I was just grateful of the fact that I might get, tuition paid. I was still going to pay room and board and have loans to go to college to play for a D1 team. I was giving a lot to get the spot.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine flipping the script and them going, oh, no, you're good enough. Here's a payday. That's crazy.
Oh, I've sat around campfires at hunting camps and older guys and stuff talking about, and I mean, playing for the Texas Rangers as pitchers, and their whole career not making what baseball players make now in 1 year.
Right. At minimum wage as baseball players, probably.
Yeah, at the lowest of salaries for a baseball player, they were not making near that back when they played. And I think money, greed, and everything in any industry is going to kill it. And I lost a lot of respect for pro football and for pro sports in general, when all they did was go on strike and asking for more and more and more. I think everybody deserves what they're worth. And I mean, in our business, we watch the industry. With ACA, they do a wage report.
What is ACA?
It's basically an air conditioning association.
Okay.
And it's a global thing. We have a Central Florida branch, and it's there to help HVAC businesses. It's like I'm going to a meeting today, and they're going through one of the changes in the industry. They're going to go over it. They're going to have a panel that the new refrigerant that is coming out here.
So it was 134A, right?
No, it was 410A. R22 to 410A now. They're going to be phasing 410A out, and now there's going to be a blended with propane. Some manufacturers are going one line, and other manufacturers are going another line. There's going to be different blends for every manufacturer. Some manufacturers are staying with one blend, but so it's very, very, very still held back on the information. So I'm hoping to learn a little bit more today, because this is a big thing in our industry. It's going to be changing everything else to where, do we need new tools? Do we need to have more learning? Which, yes, you're going to need more learning. Sure. But what happens if you mix this one with this one? Is it, because it's a propane base, is it explosive? And
that's the first thing I thought of too. I was like, oh, boom.
Everybody thinks that, and they have had incidences. I mean, there's refrigeration and big commercial refrigeration that's been using this for a long time. Overseas has been using this kind of refrigerant in HVAC systems, mini split style systems, for a long time. It's very, 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 very small. One test I did see, they literally had to they did it in a hotel room style thing. They put a small hole in the coil inside, so it was leaking inside. They tried to make a combustion spark. It did not do anything.
Okay, all right.
And I mean, these style systems hold very low refrigerant. They actually literally had to puncture a bigger hole in it and overcharge the system where gas was blowing out.
Okay.
A not true in any way gonna ever happen kind of thing, for it to actually spark and kind of sear the room top level. Not burn it down, not do anything, kind of like just a big flash to where the top of the sheets got burnt, walls got a little burnt. But again, it's in a scenario that would never happen. It would be a guy going in, charging it, not knowing there's a huge leak, somebody else coming inside the room and sparking something for that to ever happen.
Yeah. So, well, that kind of goes back to our conversation about like Elon Musk and winning the evil lotto. If one of his satellites is breaking up and falling to Earth, what are the odds that you're going to get hit by space junk? You would be better off putting your entire life savings into the lotto to try to win than wait around for Elon's space junk to hit you. And it sounds like it's one of those odds.
Yeah. Very, 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 would probably never happen, but they have to take it to that extreme for the safety measures of it happening.
To their credit, right?
Yeah, because it's going to teach people that if you're in a mechanical room, you're dumping this refrigerant in there, and you're in a concealed mechanical room, and there is a leak, and it is a big leak, that you do need to be safe when you're sparking a torch or sparking anything. And they're going to have testers for this and everything to make sure that you're not going to have those kind of problems and blowing up a mechanical room.
Interesting. So, and we got here from the Bulldogs, which is a fun way of meandering.
Going into sports, and I was saying greed and everything, but that was the thing. One thing ACA does is a wage benefits, and all of our employees are our employees. Yeah. And we try to treat our employees like family. We're a family-owned, family-operated business. My dad's still in the company. He's been in business for 46 years now, and my brother's in the business. He's 5 years younger than me. He just had his birthday yesterday.
Happy birthday, brother.
Happy birthday, Alex. And then I'm in the business, and me and my brother have done this our whole life, and we're the ones taking over this business.
Yeah.
But I've had guys and still have guys that are 19 years, 20 years with us.
Wow.
I've had guys retire with us. I mean, the first service tech my dad ever hired that I worked with and grew up with his son and grew up with him, working, learning through him. He was the first service tech my dad hired. He retired with my dad.
That's amazing. How many years would that? So the business existed when? When did you guys get founded?
Oh, you would ask that question.
Yeah.
I want to say it was.
Oh, it's over 40 years.
It's over 40 years. It's 46 years is what it is. I want to say it's 76 or 79.
Okay.
It's something like that. But it's about 46 years that we've been in business. And like I said, I mean, we got guys that have been there for a very, very long time.
That's amazing.
The guy I'm talking about, Mike, he retired with 30-something years with my dad.
That really is kind of rare, and not even kind of rare. It is rare at this point.
Yeah.
How was that a unicorn moment in your business? It sounds like you got other guys spending a lot of tenure there. How are you keeping employees this long?
The big secret of my dad has always been that way. Is treat them like family. Yeah. He treats them guys equal to me and my brothers. We've had guys that on their personal vehicles could not put tires on their vehicle. And he'll say, hey, just go get tires. I'll take care of it. Have them send me the bill. We've had guys that have had other issues and he'll say, hey, whatever you need, I'll help you with what's going on in your life at this time.
That's amazing.
And that's what is honestly kept it a family. I mean, if you go in even deeper, my office manager, Chelsea, she actually graduated high school with me, but I've known her and we went to middle school all the way through high school together.
That's awesome.
And she works for us. Paula in our office, which has been with us, I want to say over 20 years, but she knew my mom and dad before I was born.
Wow.
And I mean, I've had guys that now have moved on and they're doing other things, but I had a buddy of mine that came into this business and me and him grew up in diapers. We bounced in and out of each other's lives because we lived so close. But I mean, there'd be years that we didn't see each other. He was looking for another opportunity. He was very mechanically inclined. And
so cool.
He worked for us, I want to say almost 14 years or so before he decided that he had another family business that he can go into.
Okay.
He did that, but he also got his mechanical license and he has his own little small business. And I still talk to him till today and we help each other out. I've helped him out. He's helped me out, questions and everything like that. And that's another strong thing with being in a community,
yeah,
and with ACA and everything else. We're an air conditioning company that is not there to have secrets and hide stuff. We work with other people in our industry, kind of like what you're doing here for people that might want to start up a business, might want to just listen and learn, or might actually have a business and seeing what they can do on growth. You need to friend the people that are in your industry, because you're all going to come across the same problems in the service industry and the install industry. Permitting and things are changing constantly. I might have a problem that other people haven't seen and I can go to talk to them. They might have that problem that I've never seen, and I'll know so I don't have the same problem. And having that friendship and having those people that you can talk to literally about anything is great. And when I can't ask my dad a question, because me and my dad can butt heads. I mean, it's got 100 times better. Growing up, I mean, in the early days of me in the business, when I first came into the office, like 7-8 years ago, everybody would say it was like American Choppers.
No, really?
With me and I mean, there's been blowout fights where staplers have been thrown And
so this is actually what I want, because I had a family business for years, and that's what it felt like. It felt like the Tuttles. My dad and I would scream at each other. The worst days was when files would get thrown, because then you had to put them back together and figure out like if they weren't numbered papers, you were just toast.
Yeah.
So that did happen, or does happen, because the family business thing is risky.
It did happen. I mean, it has happened.
Yeah.
And
on what grounds? Was it communication misunderstandings, or were you just taking two different stands? Why would that happen?
It could be anything over what I see needs to be done for marketing to I said something wrong to one of the guys, but I was standing my point, to him just having a bad day and taking it out on me.
Okay.
I mean, there's been multiple times I've quit. I remember quitting, dropping my keys on his desk, and starting to walk down the street.
Leave the truck.
Left the truck. I'm walking home. Left the keys to the truck, said I'm done with this. And
that was last Thursday.
No, this hasn't happened for years. I will say that. This is back when I was more stubborn and hard-headed, and I've learned a lot from my dad.
I was just going to ask you, learned a lot, and I was wondering if you were going to finish that from your dad. So he has brought you into his way of doing business?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, and to last this long and to have the business that he has, you have to know that he knows something.
Clearly.
But I mean that day I started walking, made it about 5-10 minutes on a walk, and his truck pulls up behind me, and we go and we have lunch.
There you go.
Those fights never lasted.
Do you both know you're blowing off steam? Like subtly in the back of your mind, it's not the end, but you both know you had to get it out?
Yeah, it's that, and I want to be hard-headed and have my point. He wants to, which his statement was and still is, it's my name on the door right now. When it's your name, then you can make those decisions.
Yeah.
And like I said, he's done everything old school. He had to see some of my points, and I had to beat those in him, because this world is changing, and it's changed in so many ways.
Yeah.
In the advertising side of it, in the profitability side of it. And I'm going and learning all this, and it's stuff he doesn't want to learn, but he wants me to bring it into the business.
But it challenges him. Got
it. But then, to his point, he's made this business what it is in doing what he's doing. And he's not some dumb guy that is just been gambling all this time and been lucky.
Right.
He's had his fails. He's learned from his fails. But he also knows in the back of his head that me and my brother have to do the same thing.
And also with the world changing too, he probably knows that those changes are coming. He won't necessarily understand it. Some of his old ways probably still have great value, and some of the new ways will also have great value. And what's that give and take? Can I ask you, what is it that maybe he used to do, which was rightly done in the past, that you've had to push on? You said marketing and sales, for instance. But
marketing's a big one.
Yeah. What is his old way, and what did you bring in?
I mean, the old way for everybody. Yellow Pages.
Boy, don't talk about that enough.
That book was the holy grail. And
how big was his ad in the pages?
I mean, we just had a standard ad. But the crazy thing is, back in the day, the number one advertiser in the Yellow Pages, which is the number one advertiser still out there everywhere on radio and everything, was lawyers.
Right.
They had the most pages. Number 2 was air conditioning.
Really?
Yeah. And the holy grail of that was word of mouth, which B&I is the new age of word of mouth.
Yep.
And Yellow Pages. Search engine optimization in what you do on Google and Yahoo or whatever searching you're doing is the new Yellow Pages.
Right.
So he didn't understand that. His was, I'm paying $400 a year to be in this book. It's worked for me all this time. I've grown good all these years. But he didn't understand that people my age, a little older, a little younger, were taking that book off their driveway,
throwing it out
right to their recycling bin, and dropping it in there.
Yep.
And now word of mouth is still there.
And I think it will always still be there.
But their word of mouth was, hey, mom, hey, dad, who do you use? Hey, uncle, hey, aunt, who do you use? Those people now are kind of dying off. And younger generations, they want something easy, something quick.
Facebook,
Google, anything where they can go and just type it into their phone that's attached to them. I mean,
yeah, we both have it here. In fact, I'm sure our mic's probably picked up. Like you and I both got a couple of calls. It's always here. We could Google something right now,
and it's right there. You pick it up, and I could see to even, you know what? I'm in a new area. What's there to eat around here? I gotta waste some time. What can I go eat? To, oh man, I just got home. Man, I got a flood on the floor. Who do I need to call? And me being in the industry, there's a lot of stuff that I do know.
Sure, but you're highly exposed to it.
Yes, and I mean the building industry and everything else. But the food one that I just told you the first, you don't want to know how many times that I'm in different areas and I want to try something new and I search for it.
Yep.
I'm not calling up somebody I know in that area and say,
hey, Dad, I'm over in Avalon Park. Where should I have lunch?
Exactly.
That doesn't happen.
No, I pick up my phone and Google it because I can get an answer quicker than I can calling somebody.
Right.
But, I mean, word of mouth is always going to work. When you need somebody reliable in your house, you're going to go with somebody that somebody tells you most of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, but Florida being a place where people move here all the time.
Yes.
We have a rapid increase of people moving here yearly.
Yeah, I don't know if you got the memo, but Florida's closed.
And I mean, you're from New York, so
I am.
You got a lot of your native people coming right down too.
And I keep trying to remind everybody we moved here for a reason. So stop acting like and voting like you're a New Yorker. Come down here and figure the Florida ways out a little bit because this is what you wanted, and help us preserve it.
Yeah.
You know, and we don't have enough of that. But to your point, yeah, we're all foreigners in a new land to a degree. So I remember a couple of years back, somebody introduced me to Beefy King. Like, what the heck is a Beefy King? And is it the only one on the planet? Is it like a standalone?
It's a family-owned business. I know the family very well.
Do you really?
Yeah. I actually, the church that my grandfather founded here in the Central Florida Conway area, they actually are members of that church too.
Come on.
And
so I am now a huge devotee to the Beefy King. Makes the best roast beef. Like, skip Arby's, go straight to Beefy King if you can. It is so classic good food.
It very, very good. I mean, their spuds are good too, but they've never changed. It's the same cutting machine, same steamer, same everything.
And as food goes,
you
can do that.
Yeah, father, son. The son actually lives in my brother's neighborhood. The father and mother live right down the street from me. That's how close.
You and I are going to Beefy King. You introduced me to the people so I can just shake their hands.
Yeah, and I mean, the son still is in there, working there every day.
Really?
His sons are in there working, and so it's family owned.
And I never would have known about it because I'm a foreigner if I hadn't asked.
Yeah.
And I had the privilege of not using Google or Yelp or anything. I had somebody tip me off who grew up here.
Yeah.
But that's the way that most of us, you're right, we default to how do I get a digital recommendation to try the thing that's down the street.
But and that was the problem with my dad. He always asked. My dad is a talker. My dad, born and raised. I mean, we go back to Boone High School. The first year that Boone was actually Boone High School and it split, my grandmother was the first graduating class of Boone High School.
Wow. And when you say it's split, what does that mean?
I wasn't here for that. I could have this wrong, but I want to say it was called, I'm not gonna know the name, but I think it was Edgewater and Boone used to be a Central Florida high school or something like that.
Okay.
And my grandmother's senior year, they split the schools. They made Boone High School and they made Edgewater. And again, this is all
you're doing
from my knowledge.
Yeah.
I know they made Boone.
All right,
and
so I want to say this and they have the full story. Drop it in comments somewhere.
And Boone became Boone, which is over off Cayley, right close to downtown. Boone became Boone. My grandmother was the first graduating class at Boone High School.
Wow.
My great-grandfather found Grace Covenant Presbyterian Church, which is right down the street from there, too. And so we're big in that Conway area, grew up. My dad grew up there. My dad graduated from Boone. Now, me and my brother, I went to summer school at Boone, but we went to Pine Castle Christian Academy.
Okay.
And we both decided to graduate from there. So, but my dad, going back to that, he's a big talker. He grew up in this area. He knows everybody in this area. He can point anybody in the right direction on anything, really.
Yeah, that makes sense. So he'd want to stay in those old ways then. Yeah. It feels more natural.
So that's all natural to him. And then to the people that weren't, it's always been, we got you out of the yellow pages. 2 forms of marketing. These days, I mean, there is, countless ways you can market. And different things work different for different businesses.
Yeah.
I mean, you can come on and do your own podcast.
Right. Here we are.
Yeah. I mean, and I work with you, and I'm doing podcasts now, just to knowledge of people, give them knowledge on the air conditioning side of stuff.
Absolutely.
Or you can spend billions of dollars and have billboards, TV commercials, radio commercials. All that stuff was big back then. Still, people had TV commercials, but it was car industry and lawyers really. Now it's kind of became more reasonable priced, so other companies are doing it, other businesses are doing it.
Well, I think the fragmentation in the marketing industry of, you can run OTT where you can be an advertiser just on Hulu, just in a zip code.
Yep.
That type of fragmentation allowed it to open up a little bit more.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's so many ways to advertise now. I mean, all the old stuff is still there.
Yeah.
I mean, mailers but back then it was one mail pack. Now you have 4 or 5 you can choose from.
Right, and then we both know the guys over at RSVP. They're the ones who do kind of the luxury market, and they have the mailing list that goes to the high net worth families. Mm-hmm. And then you got the Val Pack, which is just we're going to hit every freaking mailbox with every offer, and there's 9 vacuum companies in there.
And both of them work. But it's what you want to structure your business around.
Yeah.
Is what you find to work. I mean, if it was as easy as snapping your fingers and saying, I'm going to do this, this, and this, I know this will work, you would have the formula, you would have a very successful business very, very fast.
Yeah.
But it's all trial and error. And that's what leads back to the fights of my dad. He's old school, and he's like, well, you just had me do a jingle, this, and this, and TV advertisement because that's the new hottest thing. And we spent $50,000
on a jingle.
How are we going to recoup this? Yeah. Now, granted, this was a conversation he was always from day one started with. I just brought the people in the door to talk to him. He agreed to everything. He was there when we did the jingle and everything, and he knew the thing. But once it came to, we just spent $50,000. That's the most we've ever spent on this. How are you going to track it? How are you going to recoup it? How's this going to work? One thing with a jingle, we still have that jingle.
Can you sing it?
No. It's Gary Munson, heating and air. You'll be more comfortable with the best. That's the tagline.
Okay. All right.
My singing's terrible, but
no, that's fine. We got it out of you because I honestly haven't heard it. And so are you not actively pushing the jingle?
No, we do. We're on 103.1.
Okay.
And ESPN Radio. We have commercials running right now.
Can I get a copy of that jingle? Am I allowed to use it?
Yeah, you can use it.
All right. So, hey, Tony, could we do a jingle remix, kind of do like maybe dubstep? I don't know, something that kind of up levels a little bit. I guess dub is a little out. What's the new hotness? I don't know, or maybe somebody could Taylor Swift country it a little bit, bring it back a little bit. We could get on the Swiftie vibe.
It's more country, but yeah, you might be able to put a little
you do
DJ
Country Thunder
mix in
too,
it.
right?
We've done Country Thunder in the past.
Yeah, I got to get in on that. I listened to, so I live so close to the stadium that I could hear, Keith Urban and Hardy and all this stuff. And I'm like, I know AJ's over there right now. I should just go crash the party. But I didn't. I helped.
Yeah, with K92 FM, we've done a bunch we do a lot of promotions with them on the marketing side. So, but the thing is, back in the day when when we're talking even 10 years ago, a small company wouldn't be able to do these kind of things.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have to be a large company getting a lot of co-op coming in, getting a lot of money tied back somehow to it to pay for these.
Yeah, and for people who aren't used to that phrase, co-op is the idea that your vendor, like a Daikin, might chip in their own dollars to make sure that you're growing in a market so they can sell more Daikin products through you.
Yeah.
And that's a thing with a lot of vendors.
Yeah, and if you have a business, like you, in your introduction, you say you tagline a business.
Yeah, Hire VP. Yep, they're our sponsor.
They're kind of like co-op with you.
Yes, they are.
And if you can find a business to sponsor you for whatever you do, I mean, everybody sees it. I mean, look at pro athletes. They're getting sponsored by Nike, by Converse, by Reebok, or Mercedes, or, I mean...
Well, and the stadiums all have...
Stadiums are sponsor names.
Yep.
That can happen in small business. Like you said, Daikin does a accrual fund. So they give me dollars back on every system that I sell.
Really?
Yeah. And that
cool.
accrual fund is actually how we do a lot of marketing. I mean, like the shirt I'm wearing today says Daikin on it. They bought all these shirts. I took my accrual fund. They paid 100%.
That's awesome.
But we also do Train and Rude. And Rude and Train have a co-op. And a co-op with them is I send in what I want to do. If it's a script on the radio or if it's some kind of mailer, it has their logo on it. It has my logo on it. It has something about Train. It has something about me on it. And say it cost $2,000. Train's going to pay $1,000 of it. I have to pay $1,000 of it.
Still
so
a great
50-50.
deal. That's amazing.
And we have funds that are also through Train and Rude by the equipment sales. So I might have $8,000 sitting there, but I got to know that if I spend all $8,000 of their money, I got to pay $8,000 of my money. And
still 50-50 on the use.
Yeah, Daikin's 100% accruals. So anybody that is looking to start a business, that has a business, talk to your vendors and who you work with to go out and say, hey, do you guys do anything like a co-op or accruals? If I put your guys' name with my name and promote you guys because we stand behind your product, is there any way that you can help me with my advertising so I can grow my advertising?
That's a brilliant move. It's interesting because I was just talking to a YouTuber. He's in the car space, and he's got like 250,000, subscriptions on YouTube. He's got like 100,000 on Instagram. He's got some big stuff going. Yeah. And he's the opposite now. That because he's not selling anything other than the experience of his expertise, he doesn't want to align with anyone, so he won't accept those. Yeah. And it's just it's interesting divergence in school of thought, because when you're a small business selling a product and I stand behind this, I align with it, suddenly that opens a whole world of partner dollars through co-op. And then you got all of these standalone YouTubers who actually have to run from those partner dollars because then they'll look bought and it won't look authentic. Yeah. And in both versions, I actually consider them completely authentic, but it's two ways of living. It's a fascinating difference.
It is. And I mean, but a lot of these YouTubers, they started with sponsors.
Yeah, and then they start shedding them going, I think I can grow better without them.
Yeah, now I got my follower base, and you guys helped me get here. I can do what I want to do now.
Yeah.
But even some of the biggest YouTubers are children's star YouTubers. My 6-year-old, Charlie, is always on her iPad.
And what's she watching?
So she's never the biggest one, and because I'm always business. I mean, I walk into Disney, I'm looking how the air conditioning's ran.
Yeah, I'm that way too.
My sister-in-law,
not about air conditioning,
just started working with us about a year ago. She's going on about a year. She's still learning the industry, and it's funny. We were at Disney this past weekend, and I'm like, Jamie, that's the linear diffuser. That's how the air is coming out. Hey, what are those over there on the roof? And she's like, RTU units, rooftop package units. And she's learning, and we're kind of, that's just stuff we do being in the industry.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I know I kind of lost track going offline, but what I was talking about, what was I saying? Oh,
go ahead.
On the side of these YouTubers started.
Yep.
Ryan's house.
Ryan's World.
Ryan's World.
Oh my God, it drives me crazy. But my kids watch them.
$1 billion, it seems like. I mean,
I know.
40 million, I think was the last time he looked that he's made. And he's all sponsors.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But my daughter's really into nowadays, I mean, she's 6, but she's into Adderley. And she's been into Adderley a very, very long time.
This is one I don't know.
And she's a little girl. And her family, best day ever is their tagline.
Okay.
And they started actually without sponsors, got sponsors. Some of their stuff's sponsored, some of it's not.
Okay.
But it's best day ever. And it's just a family doing things and filming it.
Wow.
And Adderley was the little girl that they had first, their oldest. Now they have 3 kids. I probably could tell you all their names, but that's how bad I hear it all the time. But the other one that she watches is Spy Ninjas.
I have seen Spy Ninjas, yes.
And to my knowledge, that's when she just started kind of watching. They're everything on their own, but they're making like kind of their own TV kind of show for kids.
It's amazing how corny it is.
It is corny, but
Kids love
these
it.
little kids, they catch it and they run with it. That we were in her book fair,
Is there stuff in the book fair?
and I go, Charlie, because she wanted something else, and I'm like, you get 2 books, you can get some kind of journal or a bookmark or something like that. And I said, hey, because she's taking so long, I'm like, hey, look, you like Spy Ninjas? Here's a Spy Ninja with a secret pin decoding thing that they're selling at elementary school book fairs now.
That's amazing.
That they've made a brand that big off of Spy Ninja.
Yeah, my kids, there's the Ninja Kids, to keep with the ninja theme. I'm sure your kids will discover them if they haven't. And their whole family, I think they're former gymnasts, and they turned it into a lot of very healthy activities, trampolines and
She's seen
stuff.
that one, yeah.
Yeah.
And they do contests with each other.
They do.
Yeah.
Well, and so it's the contest culture in my family right now is insane. All my kids are doing challenges. They're doing, what is that? Among Us in real life. Have you seen the Among Us video game? Don't introduce it to your kids. There's nothing wrong with it, actually. However, it is one of those things that once they catch the bug, you won't get rid of it for quite a while. But it's interesting because coming full circle back to how the world's changed, in marketing, we do have this new reality that's so different from your dad's world. Yeah. Like if you were going to align with a celebrity, you were going to align with, well, not to age your dad too much, but maybe the Fonz, right? And Happy Days.
His is John Wayne.
Oh, he's old enough for
he's a Western
culture.
Guy. I mean, still to today, if you go into his house, he's going to be watching the Western Channel.
No kidding.
And I grew up watching it because he'd have it on TV.
So we got Lone Ranger, Gunsmoke,
yep.
Walton's, which is probably not as much his thing.
I mean, Andy Griffin is another
Andy
big
Griffin
one.
Is great.
Actually,
I still watch that because the wholesome stuff that's happening in there is so wholesome. I tell my kids, I was gonna say I remind them, but they don't know this stuff. Like this is actually the way people build community. This is the way people ought to treat each other. I don't think we see that anymore.
No, we don't. Community is very hard.
Yeah.
And our kids, I mean, with virtual schools.
Pandemic didn't help.
Yeah, the pandemic definitely didn't help. But I mean, a lot of kids have stayed with virtual schooling. And that community starts in things of organization. Schools.
Yep.
Churches. Sports.
Big time.
That's how a community starts. That's where friendship starts. That's where community starts. And they learn how to use community to win. You go to something like both of me and you are in B&I. B&I is a community.
100%.
Now, like we were talking about earlier, you're not going to be able to use everybody in your B&I.
No, doesn't work.
I mean, there's people that I just have never even thought about using.
Sure, yeah.
But there also is people in the B&I that you will use numbers and numbers of times.
Yep. You end up kind of growing to, because you're in that community, even the ones you won't use, you do kind of build an affinity for. Yeah. So if there was an opportunity to use them, they would be the first in line.
Yeah, and it's not even just using them. That person, you might hear somebody talking about how they need that person.
Right.
And you're like, okay, yeah, I got the person for you.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of see a need, fill a need.
Yeah. But I mean, it's community.
It is.
But me and you grew up going to school every single day,
Yep. Going to church every weekend.
going to church, playing sports, families out with families either on the lake or taking family trips with other families.
That's right.
That was building community. That was building family. And going back to it, that's how we build a business.
Right.
If you can't have a community business and you have people butt heads and they can't do it, one of those people has to go.
That's right. You've got to get back to community or it won't last.
You can have,
and now we have digital community, which is I know what you've been trying to bring to your dad.
And that's the thing is you have to go on a digital platform. As much as even myself, I don't like it.
I know. Me too.
But you have to because now you have a split. People that have grown up in the by myself culture that are very antisocial, never were pushed to be social.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the people that were totally social that would rather go and have a beer with you to talk about something.
Yep.
Or you have the people that just want to do a Zoom call to talk about something. So that's the same way. You have the people that you're going to meet out in public at an event and shake hands with, and they're going to become your customer. Or you're going to have the people that are going to watch your podcast, you're going to watch your commercial, they're going to watch or listen to something out there to hear your name, and they're going to use you because they need you and they feel that way about you.
Yeah, they grew their trust in you through that digital fostering as opposed to the in-person community aspect.
Just like our kids are doing with they build their trust and they build everything in the YouTubers that they follow.
Isn't that wild?
And I mean, there's a lot of bad stuff on YouTube.
Which is that comes down now to parenting. Like we have to police that even more.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's
and you've got 4 kids?
I got 4.
Right.
I got my stepdaughter, which is about to turn 16 here in August.
Oh, God bless you, my son.
Then the second oldest is my daughter, and she's 12.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got my stepson that's 12, which they're only a month apart.
Okay.
And then me and my wife have our 6-year-old together.
Wow.
And so we're a blended family. All of the kids are, I consider them my kids.
Sure,
and
they're all your family.
Treat them.
I actually forget that they're not all bio kids with you because of the way you talk about them.
Yeah, and it's they're all family. They're all would do anything for them, but they're all different too.
But so all my kids are bio kids, and though there's moments where I go, oh, that's a family trait. They're so crazy different. Like there's just. I don't know. You just roll the dice with whatever you create there, and they turn into their very own human.
Yeah. The only 2 that are actually almost a lot alike because they're the mother figure that is a little bit bossy, but also a lot caring, and is my 6-year-old and her 15-year-old sister.
Really?
The 2 12-year-olds are opposite to everybody. One's a fantastic artist. I mean, she could sit there while we're at dinner and just draw. And then you have my stepson, which is the only 2 things he cares about is fishing and PlayStation.
Does he fish on PlayStation?
No.
Okay.
No, he just. I mean, I guess there used to be games for that, but he loves to fish, and it's something that him and his dad do a lot.
That's cool. So it gets him outdoors, which actually I love that because so many kids, the only thing they want to do is sit on a screen.
Yeah, and I mean, the only thing opposite between my oldest to my youngest, they're a lot alike, but they're opposite in the way of. One's a teenager and wants to be in her room when she's home.
Mm-hmm. I got the same over here.
The 6-year-old has to be attached to somebody and
That's
either annoying them, if it's the dogs, if it's my wife, if it's me, if it's one of her siblings, she always has to be doing something with somebody.
Yeah. So that I wonder if it's a generation thing or we just have kids that align because my 6-year-old who turned 6 yesterday is that same description. Yep. And my 15-and-a-half-year-old is in her room door is shut. Right now it's not shutting all the way for some reason, but door is shut as it can be, and you can hear her feet. She's dancing.
That's probably you sticking something in there so she can't. You don't want to take it all the way off the hinges to know what she's.
Yeah, that's quite true, and I won't go as far as putting a camera in there because of course she needs a little privacy.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to keep our eyes on those kids. So you know what? I'm going to round our conversation out real quick because so we both have businesses. We've both done the family business thing. You're the next generation of Gary Munson heating and air conditioning, but you've got kids. Do you see that potential? And of course, you're predicting like Nostradamus 10 and 20 years out, but do you see it going to generation 3 at all? Do you see anybody in your family between your kids, Alex's family, anybody else who might be kind of tangentially family being that third generation?
We can always say yes to that question.
Yeah.
Me and my brother both broke the streak of many years, decades of not having girls in the family. My 2 blood children are girls. His 2 blood children are girls.
Oh, interesting.
Now, not saying they can't come in and run this business better than anybody else, but it's if they want to.
That's a good answer.
I am one of those people that believe that college is not for everybody.
Oh,
I'll tell anybody this. Trade schools, mattering if it's something with mechanical, electrical, or plumbing, or if it's baking, or if it's a nurse, or if it's anything really.
Yeah.
I mean, trade schools not just get out and sweat. Trade schools, there is lots of trade schools. You want to look into trade schools. Because I was not a test taker. I had chances to go to. I had chances to go to UCF, and I had a chance to go to Georgia Southern. But I went to Seminole Community College and went straight into trade school. They had a great HVAC, a year and a quarter program. I went through that. But I'd been doing this all my life. I tell people I've done it in my diapers. But I literally was working every summer at 13.
Yeah, family business. You can do that. Yeah.
So college isn't for everybody, but college is for a lot of people. People find themselves in college, find what they want to do. So with my kids, I'm the same way. This opportunity is always going to be there for them. If it ends with me and my brother, it ends with me and my brother. But if one of them we're going to do the same thing that my dad did for us. We're going to give them that opportunity in as many ways as we can to where if they want to come in here and run this business, they can. And I know plenty of women HVAC business owners.
Well, and you're in the industry, so you know, deliberately like connected in the industry. So you do see that as a new trend?
Yeah.
And I would say a new trend because I'll bet if we dial back 50 years, there might have been a unicorn or 2 who, for whatever reason, had to be a woman in charge of an HVAC company. But what do you want to bet? It's because their husband who started it maybe fell ill.
Yeah, and that is some of the reasoning and everything. Or kind of like me, family business.
Yep.
And the daughter wanted to take it over because they saw how successful and how to run it, and they grew up watching it.
Yeah.
And that could happen in our instance. They're too young right now to really know.
Yeah.
Would love them to do it. And I think my brother's the same way. Would love them to do it, but we'd love them to be themselves and do what's going to make them happy, not be trapped in a job.
Yeah.
And I mean, that should be anybody. You should never be trapped in a job. And my standing in life, even having a family business, my true family comes first. I'm making every time to make those memories. Sitting out in the parking lot today, my daughter's like, Dad, when are you going to come to school and have lunch with me? And you know, I had all that stuff with that to get the paperwork through and everything else. I finally did it.
Yeah.
And I can do it. And she's asking me, when are you going to come have lunch with me? And I said, okay, next Monday, I'm going to figure out now I got to figure out on the computer part of it, how to go on there and
register and all that. I'll tell you what, Florida schools are good at making sure that those OASIS clearances and all of these things that make sure that you're allowed to be on campus are there. But then, man, they do make you kind of go through the ringer a little bit to have permission as a parent to even show up.
Yeah. And That's what I'm going to try to do. I said, I'm going to try to, and I'll be there Monday.
Cool.
Because memories with your kids at whatever age for me, is the most important thing.
You don't get that time back.
Don't dive into a business with kids and put them second.
Yeah.
That business can fail, and you failed your kids in more ways than one. Because you're not there for the sport events. You're not there for anything.
Kids don't actually care how much mom and dad make.
No, they don't. They don't care. They don't understand it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm trying to teach our oldest how to understand money because she wants to buy a car. So I went and said, okay, we're going to put you in CPR babysitting thing. She did the program, did great at it. And she babysits our daughter, but I don't pay her right up front.
Mm-hmm.
We do a backlog. And I said, when you're ready to buy a car, or if say somebody buys you a car, you're still gonna have gas, you're gonna have insurance, You're gonna have everything that goes along with a car. You want tires, you want speakers, you want all these things. You're gonna need money. So at your 16th birthday, we're gonna look at that log, and I'm gonna write you a check for all your babysitting.
Okay.
Towards a car. And that's I'm trying to teach her that business, because kids today, because of this thing right here.
Yep.
And all of the Uber Eats and everything like that, they get money
and it's gone.
And they spend it on things they really don't need.
Yeah, we're struggling with Starbucks in our family right now.
That's a big one.
You know, you're
Dunkin'
only cool
Donuts,
if you have a Starbucks cup.
Getting delivered to the house, or you know what? I didn't want dinner, so I just ordered Chipotle. And because that's what I want for dinner.
Right.
So
yeah, and until you're independently wealthy, that's usually a bad habit to have. It's a great treat, and it can solve a problem, but oh my, is that dangerous?
But they're learning fast that $100 can go quick over a weekend.
Oh my God. And we as parents know it through and through.
And that's what you got to teach them even younger these days to do it. But like, you go back to your point, they don't care about a 6-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 14-year-old. They don't care about the money you have in the bank. They care about that memory you're going to make with them.
Yeah.
You were at my school play.
They actually care about the most valuable thing.
Yeah.
You cannot buy your time back.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And I mean, that's been a thing talked about for years and years and years and years. And that's always been the most important thing to me, that I'm not going to miss a memory. I'm going to use my vacation. Good. I'm going to go, and if I have to leave work early, if I have to go into work 4 hours early so I can get off early, I'm going to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do that, so I can be there for my children. Yeah, and
you are an early riser, and I know that it's always been connected to that. Yeah. I'm still trying to work that out. I'm the night owl. Like people who used to bill themselves as creatives and then have to shift really struggle to get that to flip, and I'm getting there, but I haven't quite arrived yet.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw, I posted on social media today, I saw a picture and it said, if you text me after 9 p.m., I'm going to text you back at 4:35 a.m. And that is struck so true. Yeah. To where, and I don't even catch myself doing it. I wake up at 4 to 4:30 time, and next thing you know, I'm reading all my texts and I get into that business state of mind, or I'm reading emails, I'm getting that business state of mind, and I'm replying, and I'm like, oh crap, I just sent that at
4 a.m.
It's like, hopefully they didn't have the ringer on, because I don't have mine on.
You actually have done that to me, and it's a great reminder, though, because then I'm like, ooh, he's up hustling right now. I probably should get my butt out of bed. Yeah. So that I take that as a challenge, and a challenge is accepted. So you can text me at 4 a.m, because it's just like, oh man,
it happens on accident.
Shine, jerk.
Yeah.
I'm getting better because of your habits.
Yeah. See. They're not all bad habits,
No, they're not. So this conversation's been all over the place. I'm going to ask you one last thing, and you don't even have to have an answer for it. But, one of the things that I know through actually not because of you, but the people around you. And of course, I'm a customer as well. So I know your business is well run. It's well respected. The word of mouth on the street is that you can trust and rely on Gary Munson Heating and Air Conditioning, which I think is great. What one word of advice to a listening entrepreneur would you give to help them foster that type of respect in the world? Because you guys you're just well respected. So how can an entrepreneur today do something to earn similar respect?
Ooh, in one word?
No, not in one word.
Okay.
It's just,
Man.
I guess it's like the good word as a preacher, right?
In B&I, we say one word. And I mean...
Oh, heck no.
It's tied to kind of family. It would be a word.
Okay.
Treat everybody you come across, if it's your customer, if it's your employee, or if it's just your worst enemy, like their family with respect. We all have bad days.
Sure.
Nobody here on earth is perfect. Right. Even if they think in their own mind, and you'll have those people that think that, nobody's perfect. I mean, what happened the night before can mess somebody's next day up to where they're not 100% on point.
Yeah.
But always understand that on both sides. And if you're running a business, know that your employees are not always going to be on point. Know your customers are not always going to be the nicest people. And just try to work with that situation the best you can and understand that. And make things right. You're not perfect. Your employees are not perfect. You're the business. So you know what? If they mess it up, make it right.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. And it's old as time. And I mean, there's going to be people that take advantage of that because it is old as time.
Yep.
But you know what? You have to deal with those people the same way. I mean, it goes back to the customer's always right. Even though in your mind, you know that they might not be right what they said about your employee. You have to defuse that with your employee and say, hey, they might not be right. They might have partial right. And it happens all the time. But let's work this out together.
Yeah. Like
we're family, and sit down at the table and figure this out to where, you know what? It's a win-win-win. The business wins, the employee wins, the customer wins. And you go on to the next day, the next years together and everything, to where they know that you're going to stand behind your employee, but you're also going to stand behind your customer, and you're going to stand behind your business. That's a great word. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I thank you. The family thing really sticks out at your company. It's fun calling, knowing that the first phone being picked up is one of your family members. Yeah. And anytime I get through the phone tree for whatever reason, I'm always talking to somebody who actually either is or has been grafted into the Munson family. It's really neat. So, hey, unicorns, this has been kind of a different episode. If you notice, we're all over the place in kind of a fun and super relevant way. I'm curious, did you like the format of how AJ and I handled this conversation today? I'm very much enjoying it personally, just saying. But it's really about you. Is this a conversation where you were entertained and uplifted? And we're trying to make sure we're doing both on behalf of our audience. So comment wherever you are, whether you're watching on YouTube, you're listening in the podcast ecosystem, you're catching maybe a snippet of this in social media. I'd love to hear your feedback. As always, I'm Josh Pies, the host of the show. You're watching or listening to Bootstrapped Unicorns. And the next episode is going to be somebody who, heck, I don't know my own schedule, but I promise it's going to be a great conversation with somebody who's going to be absolutely relevant for entrepreneurs or future entrepreneurs like you. And we'll see you on the next episode.